Chapter 61. Yi Qingling's long sword was pressed against his neck. Fourth sister, Yi Fengyu's face was ashen. He didn't expect Yi Qingling to lie to him. Your shameless sister is a good-for-nothing, and you, the younger brother, are a fool. You two siblings are really a perfect match. Yi Qingling laughed arrogantly, her eyes full of ridicule. Yi Fengyu wasn't afraid of the long sword at his neck. What made him feel cold was that the person who pointed the sword at him was his own fourth sister. He didn't treat his fourth sister as an enemy, so he was soft-hearted. However, fourth sister was bent on taking his life. She wanted his sister's life. His sister was right, the most taboo in a battle was to be soft-hearted. There was an old saying, there are no fathers and sons on the battlefield. At this moment, Yi Fengyu's state of mind had changed. What are you staring at? Are you going to stand up for your shameless sister? Yi Qingling sneered, I forgot, didn't you always hate your useless sister and hate her for throwing your face? Why are you so protective now? If my brother doesn't protect me, do you think he will protect you who is worse than a waste? Yi Qingling had just finished her words when she heard a clear and melodious voice. Immediately, Yi Qingling felt a tingling sensation in her arm. Immediately, there was a crisp sound of bones breaking. The long sword fell to the ground. Yi Qingling covered her right hand and didn't have time to react. A red shadow flashed in front of her and a leg kicked her chest. Suddenly, her internal organs seemed to be squeezed by something and her body was kicked out. Little you, are you okay? Yi Qingluo pulled him over and carefully looked at him. Yi Fengyu shook his head blankly, no, I'm fine. He wasn't the only one who was stunned. Even Yi Qingling, who fell to the ground and spat out blood, was stunned. The one in front of her, was it really that Yi Qingluo? Compared to the last time she saw her, her imposing manner was more majestic and made one's heart tremble. It was obviously the same face, the same eyes. But clearly, it was a beauty that transcended the mortal world. Shocking beauty was enough to enchant all living beings. Trash that didn't even have a profound heart. Jade, when did he have such an extraordinary change? Yi Qingluo confirmed that Yi Fengyu was not injured and turned her sight to Yi Qingling, who was lying on the ground. She slowly stepped forward, her charming eyes revealing an enchanting sneer. Yi Qingling, you've really forgotten the pain after the scar has healed. Since you're so eager to court death, this young matriarch shall fulfill your wish. Bitch! You slut! Yi Qingling clutched her chest and slowly crawled backwards. In Yi Qingling's eyes, the current Yi Qingluo was like an Azura who reaped her life. Fear spread from his heart to his entire body. Every cell in her body was venting out the fear in her heart. Yi Qingluo sneered and didn't continue walking forward. Her charming eyes squinted slightly, scared? Don't worry. What scares you is yet to come. Yi Qingling's face immediately turned pale like a sheet of paper in fright. Her 5 fingers clutched the ground as she growled in fear, Yi Qingluo, you seduced the crown prince and caused him to refuse to marry eldest sister. Now you still want to kill me. You will be struck by lightning. Yi Qingluo couldn't help but laugh when she heard this. She was also slightly tipsy about Yi Qingling's 3 views. If this lightning really strikes, it will strike you first. Yi Qingluo covered her mouth and giggled. Chapter 62. It seems like, before that, I was the rightful future crown princess. The arc on Yi Qingluo's lips deepened. As an elder sister, to go behind your sister's back and snatch your sister's fiancé, shouldn't you be struck by lightning? Yi Qingling lowered her eyes guiltily, not daring to look into Yi Qingluo's eyes. His Highness the Crown Prince. His Highness and big sister are truly in love, it's your fault. When Yi Qingluo heard that, her slender brows rose slightly as she gave an interesting smile. Since you really love each other, then why did you come to settle the debt with me? True love? Heh, Yi Qingluo didn't believe that there was any true love between that pair of scum man and scum woman. If Leng Fenghua wasn't the crown prince, would Yi Qingqian spend so much effort to seduce him? If Leng Fenghua really loved Yi Qingqian, would he not hesitate to choose her, the more valuable three-spring sex young matriarch? True love. Bah. Don't insult these two words, okay? Yi Qingling was rendered speechless. His face turned red, and his fingers scratched the ground, leaving marks on it. Yi Qingluo walked over and half-squatted in front of her. Yi Qingling was so scared that her whole body was trembling. You want to live? Yi Qingluo smiled and squinted her eyes. Yi Qingling nodded repeatedly. She knew very well that if Yi Qingluo wanted to kill her now, it would be an easy matter. She didn't even have the chance to resist. Yi Qingling was extremely regretful at this moment. Why did she listen to her eldest sister's words and impulsively seek revenge on Yi Qingluo? Yi Qingluo's slender and fair fingers lifted that trembling chin. Then, the corners of her lips curled up, looking incomparably gorgeous. Then, obediently answer a few of my questions. Yi Qingling bit her red lips and was about to spit out some malicious words. Suddenly, she felt a sharp pain on her chin. It was so painful that she sucked in air repeatedly, and tears came out of her eyes. I'll talk. I'll talk. Yi Qingling was scared and admitted defeat. Heavenly Fortune Inn, did you and Yi Qingqian join forces with Yu Qiya to destroy my innocence? Yi Qingluo narrowed her cold eyes and asked in a deep voice. Yi Qingling's face turned pale and her pair of eyes blinked non-stop. No, it's not. Ah. The sound of bones breaking rang out from his jaw. It's me, tears rolled down Yi Qingling's face. Her body had just recovered and she was seriously injured by Yi Qingluo. His heart was filled with frustration and helplessness. My profound heart jade, was it you who dug it out? Yi Qingluo's charming eyes refracted even colder. That day, she had just crossed over and her chest was bleeding. This was enough to prove that the profound heart jade had just been dug out not long ago. Before that, it was Yi Qingling who knocked her out and fed her the medicine. Yi Qingling's pupils abruptly contracted as she shook her head in fear. Really, it really wasn't me. How would I dare to dig out your profound jade heart? No matter how much she hated Yi Qingluo, she was after all still a young lady in her boudoir. Yi Qingling wouldn't be able to dig out the human heart's jade. But, even if Yi Qingling didn't dig it out, she definitely knew the whereabouts of the profound heart jade. Yi Qingluo's lips curved into an enchanting smile as her 5 fingers wandered frivolously on Yi Qingling's pale little face. Then, tell me, who dug it? I don't know. Yi Qingling shook her head frantically, but the moment she met Yi Qingluo's icy cold eyes, she immediately stopped talking. She sobbed and her little body trembled. After a long while, as if she couldn't bear Yi Qingluo's gaze, she cried out bitterly. Chapter 63. Black-clothed man? Man? Yi Qingluo searched her memory for information about the black-clothed man. She found nothing. I really don't know who that black-clothed man is. He left after digging out your profound jade heart. I was also forced by him. Seeing Yi Qingluo slow to speak, Yi Qingling fearfully begged for mercy. Looking at Yi Qingling's appearance, she also knew that she shouldn't be lying. That black-clothed man instigated Yi Qingling to lay hands on her, then took the opportunity to dig out her profound jade heart. The target should be her profound jade heart. This wasn't impossible. Since her profound jade heart was born, there were countless people who coveted it. Even Yi Tianquang once wanted to dig out her profound jade heart and refine it himself. Later, if it wasn't for her mother looking for Yi Tianquang to talk for a night. How could this group of people from the Yi family let go of her profound jade heart? Although my profound jade heart wasn't dug out by you, but you can't get away from it. Yi Qingluo's charming eyes slightly narrowed as she spoke in a cold tone. Yi Qingling's whole body trembled as she felt something. I didn't mean it, I was also forced. You promised not to kill me, I won't kill you. Yi Qingluo slowly straightened up, an enchanting smile leaping into her eyes. That smile was unable to conceal the bloodthirsty cold glint in her eyes. Then you want. Yi Qingling cried out in horror. Meeting Yi Qing Luo's eyes, she felt as if an ice-cold viper was coiling around her neck, unable to breathe. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled up, bewitching and enchanting. Because of you, my profound jade heart was dug out, then. I'll destroy your profound jade heart, how about that? Yi Qing Ling's complexion immediately turned ashen. She desperately shook her head and sobbed incessantly. Seventh sister, fourth sister knows she was wrong. Fourth sister knows she was wrong. I beg you, don't destroy my profound jade heart. Destroying the profound jade heart was equivalent to destroying her cultivation. Without profound chi, she was a waste. Three Springs sect absolutely wouldn't treat a waste well. Just look at the previous Yi Qing Luo and you'd know. Yi Qing Ling was so scared that tears flowed unceasingly. The drops of tears ruined the makeup on her face. A mess of red and green. Didn't I beg you before? But how did you treat me? Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes as she smiled calmly. In his memory, he clearly remembered it. When Yi Qing Ling forced her to take medicine and sent her to Heavenly Fortune Inn, she begged bitterly. However, Yi Qing Ling was getting more and more excited. Now, Yi Qing Luo was the same. Seventh sister. Seventh sister. Yi Qing Ling sobbed and her body kept crawling backward. Under her body, there was a pool of blood. Yi Qing Luo smiled like a flower as she slowly raised her hand and a burst of profound chi condensed in her palm. Yi Qing Ling's eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at the profound chi in Yi Qing Luo's hand. Wasn't her profound heart jade dug out? Why could she still release her profound chi? Don't be afraid, I will be fast, so fast that you won't feel any pain. Yi Qing Luo raised her palm high and aimed at Yi Qing Ling's chest. Killing intent. A strong sense reminded Yi Qing Luo that there was danger behind her. Yi Qing Luo's legs moved. Boom! Only to see that the place where she was just standing had exploded into a huge deep pit. Yi Qing Luo withdrew her hand and looked towards the direction of the killing intent. She saw Yi Tianquang walking over in a rage. Behind him, Yi Qing Jian also followed. Vile spawn. You actually dare to harm your own brothers. Yi Tianquang bellowed, the veins on his forehead bulging. As soon as he approached, his palm suffused with a cold jade light. Chapter 64. Bursts of strong wind stirred up the dust on the ground. The strong waves that could topple mountains and overturn the seas whistled. It was enough to see how much profound energy Yi Tianquang used in this palm. Yi Qing Luo didn't dodge this time. Instead, the corners of her lips slightly curled up, revealing a cold smile. She immediately released her profound chi. The wind from her palm turned into two dragons. The imposing manner was like a rainbow, directly colliding with Yi Tianquang's palm wind. There was another deafening boom. Two profound chi collided in midair. Profound chi suddenly exploded, the entire garden, branches flew everywhere. Both retreated a few steps. Yi Tianquang's complexion changed. When he saw Yi Qing Luo withstanding his palm strike, and even matching that palm strike of his face was filled with disbelief. Yi Qing Qian opened her mouth wide. She was so surprised that she forgot to take the opportunity to support Yi Qing Ling to her side. At this time, the father and daughter only had one thought in their minds: how was this possible? Wasn't Yi Qing Luo a waste? A waste who didn't even have a profound jade heart. How could she receive her father's palm strike? Were they dreaming? I didn't expect father to say the words fratricidal. It really makes me look at you in a new light. Yi Qing Luo sneered. Thinking back, Yi Qing Ling and the others had done fratricidal things many times. Yi Tianquang didn't even say half a word. Yi Tianquang fiercely gritted his teeth, his complexion gloomy. Qing Ling is your fourth sister. No matter what mistake she made, you shouldn't make a move. Fourth sister let people dig away my profound jade heart, causing me to almost lose my life. Now, I'll destroy her profound jade heart and let her live. It's a very good deal. Yi Qing Luo raised her eyebrows, her tone full of ridicule. You dare. Yi Tianquang angrily stamped his feet, pointing at Yi Qing Luo, his fingers trembling. Then let your daughter see how father will stop your daughter. The last word just spat out from Yi Qing Luo's mouth. Yi Qing Luo already made a move. Her figure flashed, only enough time to see a magnificent red shadow. She was already crawling on the ground, trying to leave this dangerous place, next to Yi Qingling. Her slender hands grabbed onto Yi Qingling's clothes as if she was carrying rubbish. The profound qi in his palm struck Yi Qing Luo's chest with a bam. He could clearly hear the sound of something shattering. Yi Qingling only felt a sharp pain in her heart, her tightly pursed lips overflowed with a few streaks of blood. Something inside him broke. He felt as if all the energy in his body had been sucked dry. He fell to the ground powerlessly, unable to move. He let the blood on his body and in his mouth ooze out bit by bit. The position of Yi Qing Luo's palm strike was neither biased nor coincidental, it just happened to be the position of the profound heart jade. Even Yi Qingling's heart was unharmed. Qingling. Yi Qingjian and Yi Tianquang immediately shouted. Evil creature. Yi Tianquang's eyes were scarlet as he flew into a rage out of humiliation. He, Yi Tianquang, in this lifetime, had only produced such a waste like Yi Qing Luo. He had lost all his dignity. Now, another one had appeared. What was the difference between a person whose profound heart jade was destroyed and a cripple? Yi Qing Luo made a move against Yi Qingling in front of him. This was a naked challenge to his authority, a slap to his face. Yi Tianquang roared explosively, his palms pressing out a powerful imposing manner. It was unknown how many times more valiant this wave of qi was compared to the previous palm strike. However, no matter how strong it was, it still couldn't do anything to Yi Qing Luo. She leapt, the five-pointed star pattern released under her feet. Chapter 65. The five-pointed star pattern under Yi Qing Luo's feet clearly announced that she had already entered the profound realm. She was no longer the wastrel who was despised by everyone. However, Yi Tianquang wasn't as excited as expected. His expression was as cold as ever, and his sharp eyes were covered in frost. He didn't feel that the Yi family's daughter becoming a profound practitioner was something to be happy about. Seventh sister. No matter what method you used to become a profound practitioner, you shouldn't have done anything to fourth sister. Yi Qingqian suddenly opened her mouth, her gentle face full of seriousness. She assumed the posture of an elder sister. Ling, is your fourth sister, how can you be so cruel? Yi Qing Luo swept her eyes over Yi Qingqian and couldn't help but sneer. Afraid that Yi Tianquang would be soft-hearted after knowing she was a profound practitioner? So she deliberately aroused Yi Tianquang's anger and made a move on her. Yi Qing Luo's gaze returned to Yi Tianquang's face. From Yi Tianquang's eyes, she couldn't see the slightest bit of soft-heartedness. It was true that he wanted to kill her. Yi Tianquang's attitude really made people think deeply. Previously, he hated Yi Qing Luo because she was a waste and lost the Yi family's face. Now, she had already become a profound practitioner, and her strength was clearly above the Yi family's young masters and young ladies. Yi Tianquang's attitude towards her was still the same as before. Or could it be that Yi Tianquang's hatred towards her had already become a kind of habit? Or, there was another reason. Evil creature. If I don't teach you a good lesson today, I will be the Three Springs sex patriarch in vain. Yi Qingqian ignited the anger in Yi Tianquang's heart. During this time, he had always been led by the nose by Yi Qing Luo. In front of the common people, she didn't give the Yi family any face. Moreover, she plotted to make Three Springs sect and Yuqi family enemies. He really foolishly stood up for Yi Qing Luo and found the Yuqi family's patriarch. Thinking of the humiliation he suffered at the Yuqi family, the anger in Yi Tianquang's eyes burned even more fiercely. The brown five-pointed star pattern suddenly spread from the soles of her feet. Yi Tianquang released his profound energy. Both of his palms shot out like snakes and dragons, and his aura immediately swallowed the mountains and rivers. That was an extremely dazzling ray of light. His palms condensed and moved. Both palms seemed to have turned into an illusion. The speed was so fast that Yiqing Luo couldn't see it clearly. Oh, Lord Father is so easily angered, it's easy to look old. Yiqing Luo sneered. Soon after, the tip of his foot pushed off the ground, and his entire body met the wind from his palm, heading straight for Yi Tianquang's face. Courting death. This was obviously a blatant provocation. Yi Tianquang's eyes darkened, and his palms fiercely chopped out. He sent out a few palm strikes in succession, and they were like huge waves that stacked on top of each other. Boom boom boom, the ear-piercing cracking sound was deafening. Chi waves surged, and gravel flew everywhere. It was impossible to see anything clearly in this corner of the garden. Apart from Yi Tianquang, Yiqing Jian and Yiqing Ling, there were no other signs of life. Yi Tianquang coldly withdrew his hand. He clapped his hands and sneered in his heart. A puny yellow profound practitioner actually dared to act so insolently in front of him. Did he really think he was the young lord of the Three Springs sect? If it wasn't for, Father, suddenly, a frightened voice interrupted Yi Tianquang's complacent thoughts. He turned his head. But he saw that the woman who should have died under his palm was now leisurely and contentedly clutching Yiqing Jian's neck. That pair of eyes that could charm all living beings held a faint smile as she gazed at him. Yi Tianquang immediately felt his heart tremble. Chapter 66. What kind of pair of eyes were those? They were obviously long and narrow, yet they were suffused with a cold light. A bloodthirsty murderous aura was like a sharp blade. Just a glance was enough to make one's heart feel like it was being cut by a sharp blade. The flying sand and pebbles gradually came to a stop. The corner of the woman's mouth held a sneer, the coldness in her eyes became more and more penetrating. Father, come, hit me. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes were tinged with a smile as she pointed at Yiqing Qian's chest. Yiqing Qian was Yi Tianquang's most valued daughter, how could he bear to hit her? Yi Tianquang was so angry that his face turned ashen and very unsightly. His hands clenched into fists, his whole body was burning with anger, blowing his robe and making it flutter. Vile spawn, I've shown mercy, but it's become an excuse for you to strut around. Good, watch this. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes slightly narrowed, the corner of her mouth rose into a meaningful smile. She suddenly let go of Yiqing Qian and quickly retreated a few steps, distancing herself from the two. All right, then let your daughter see how capable Lord Father is when he doesn't show mercy. Yiqing Luo's eyes flickered. It just so happened that she had just cultivated in the Azure Dew bracelet and reached the yellow profound 9th grade. 9th grade was equivalent to Yiqing Ling's current profound grade. But, the same profound grade, on different people, could have completely different power. To deal with a weak trash like Yiqing Ling, even if she had an ordinary body that couldn't cultivate profound qi, she could still be abused to the point that her parents wouldn't recognize her. Against Yiqing Qian, there was no challenge at all. In the first layer of the Azure Dew Purgatory, the real combat opponents were wild beasts that didn't understand human nature. That kind of combat could improve the combat level. But it couldn't cultivate the ability to adapt to danger when fighting with others. It was better to use Yi Tianquang to practice. Yiqing Luo's action was obviously 2 slaps on Yi Tianquang's face. Yi Tianquang was immediately unable to restrain his anger and raised his palm. The momentum of this palm was indeed completely different from the previous one. Waves of qi gradually flowed around his palm. A huge palm print converged on top of his head. The powerful profound qi drove the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, converging into the palm print bit by bit. Ha! A low roar exploded from Yi Tianquang's mouth. The palm print floating above his head suddenly flashed with lightning-like flowing light. The entire space was filled with a cold gust of wind. Yiqing Luo's red dress fluttered in the wind. The ground beneath his feet trembled violently, as if it was about to split open. Soon after, Yi Tianquang raised both of his arms, shook them, and shouted. That palm print turned into numerous silhouettes, covering the sky and earth as it pressed down towards Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo steadied herself in the horse stance and swiftly mobilized the profound qi in her body. With a flip of his palms, a cold current gushed out from his palms. Boom! The deafening sound of the collision caused the air in the entire space to freeze. Yiqing Luo condensed her profound qi once again and forced it towards her palms. She pushed the strength in her palms and forced the palm print to retreat. In terms of profound qi, she was naturally inferior to Yi Tianquang. In the competition of profound qi, in just a few breaths of time, she had already been forcefully suppressed to the point where she was unable to stand straight. His legs gradually bent. Yiqing Luo clenched her teeth and shouted loudly, "Break for me!" A scorching heat suddenly ignited in her heart. In an instant, the scorching heat gathered in her palms. It was the profound jade heart. Chapter 67. Good job. The profound jade heart's power came at just the right time. Yiqing Luo's cold eyes flashed with a cold glint. Her palms gathered boundless power. Profound qi suddenly turned into a tornado, wreaking havoc between heaven and earth. Unexpectedly, it forced Yi Tianquang's palm qi back. The earth quaked and the mountain swayed, the sky fell and the earth split. Everything in the surroundings exploded. Yiqing Qian and Yiqing Ling were also forced to take a few steps back by this strong force. Only, at the same time that the palm qi was pushed back, Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly felt a dull pain. As if her heart had been ruthlessly cut in half by someone with a knife. Yiqing Luo's complexion was slightly pale. She endured the pain and stood up straight. Yi Tianquang simply didn't expect that Yiqing Luo could actually force back his profound qi. By the time he regained his wits and wanted to avoid that palm wind, it was already too late. The palm wind brushed past his shoulder. His luxurious clothes were torn apart, his entire body, under that powerful qi, fiercely rolled back twice. Soon after, he barely managed to steady his footing, cut an incomparably sorry figure. Fresh blood gushed out from Yi Tianquang's shoulder. "Father!" Yiqing Jian called out worriedly, looking at Yiqing Luo with an additional trace of fear. Everyone was dumbfounded in place. Eyes full of astonishment, eyes full of disbelief, they were already unable to express their current mood. Yiqing Luo could cultivate profound qi without the profound jade heart. It was very strange. Yiqing Luo could cultivate profound qi, her profound level was at the yellow profound level, yet she could fight evenly with an earth profound practitioner. This was especially strange. A piece of trash, just what was it about him that allowed him to undergo such a huge change? Still want to go? Yiqing Luo coldly swept over Yi Tianquang's injured shoulder. The smile on the corner of her mouth became increasingly enchanting. Yi Tianquang's expression was gloomy. A dignified earth profound practitioner was injured by a little waste who had just become a profound practitioner. Especially this person was his daughter who he had always disdained. What kind of humiliation was this? He wanted to move, but his chest was stuffy and he spat out a mouthful of blood. "Father!" Yi Fengyu, who was chased far away by Yiqing Luo, saw Yi Tianquang spit out blood, and his expression immediately congealed. In his heart, although Yi Tianquang wasn't a successful father, he was still his father. "Sister, you can't fight anymore, you can't fight anymore." Yi Fengyu supported Yi Tianquang's body as he turned his head to plead with Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo shot him a cold glance. "On your account, I'll stop here today. If anyone dares to create trouble in my courtyard next time, all of you will crawl out." With that, she turned around and left. As soon as he moved, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. She took a deep breath and bit her lower lip, trying her best to make her steps look less awkward. "Evil creature!" Suddenly, a furious shout came from behind him. Yiqing Luo acutely sensed something, but before she could react, she was sent flying by a palm strike. Pfft! Yiqing Luo's body was thrown into the sky and fell onto the ground. "Sister!" Yi Fengyu's eyes widened and his legs immediately rushed towards Yiqing Luo. Yi Tianquang swayed as he stood in front of Yiqing Luo. His eyes were ruthless as he laughed complacently, "Vile spawn." As he laughed, he coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood. He had originally suffered internal injuries, and that palm strike just now had practically used up all the strength in his body. After laughing, that strong and sturdy body fell straight onto the ground. Ah! Yiqing Luo clutched her chest and wiped the bloodstain at the corner of her mouth. In order to injure her, Yi Tianquang had really gone all out. Even his old life had to be thrown away. Chapter 68. Sister, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Yi Fengyu's heart was filled with guilt. If he hadn't pleaded for Yi Tianquang, Yiqing Luo wouldn't have been injured. Yiqing Luo didn't blame her brother. She knew her brother's character very well. She was a person who had transmigrated here, so she didn't have any feelings towards Yi Tianquang. Killing him was the same as killing a stranger. But Yi Fengyu was different. Yi Tianquang treated Yi Fengyu pretty well, and Yi Fengyu also treated him with extreme respect. Naturally, Yi Fengyu didn't want to see her and her father kill each other. She held Yi Fengyu's hand and shook her head. I'm fine. Help me back to the house. The one in trouble was most likely Yi Tianquang. Her line of sight coldly glanced at Yi Tianquang, who was lying on the ground. A cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. That smile caused Yi Qingjian, who had come to support Yi Tianquang, to feel her scalp go numb. Watching Yi Tianquang fall unconscious in a pool of blood, Yiqing Luo felt that the wounds on her body weren't that painful anymore. Seeking revenge for the smallest grievance was her principle and the rule of survival. If she didn't have it easy, then Yi Tianquang wouldn't have it easy either. Yi Fengyu's thoughts were all on Yiqing Luo at this moment. He immediately and carefully picked up his sister and held her in his arms. The young boy looked thin and weak, but his strength was not small. Yiqing Luo nestled in his arms, looking like a delicate little doll. A trace of warmth spread in his heart. The coldness in his eyes gradually dissipated. What replaced it was a warm smile that she had never shown before. Yiqing Luo leaned her head on her brother's shoulder and suddenly felt that her brother had really grown up. Be it in her previous life or this life, this was the first time that someone had let her lean on his shoulder. In the room, Yiqing Luo leaned against the head of the bed with a pale face, gulping down the medicinal soup that Yi Fengyu had passed to her mouth. This medicinal soup was used to treat internal injuries. She didn't want to drink it at first, but when she saw Yi Fengyu's worried expression, she could only brace herself and finish the bitter medicinal soup. She had medicinal pills to treat internal injuries, she had them. It melted as soon as it entered his mouth. There was no taste at all, and its effects were many times better than this medicinal soup. However, Yi Fengyu didn't give her a chance to speak. After drinking a bowl of medicinal soup, Yi Fengyu's expression softened a little. His expression was solemn as he carefully reminded Ziling to take good care of Yiqing Luo. Then, he left the abandoned courtyard. Yi Tianquang was also seriously injured. It was reasonable for him to go over and take a look. Xiao Yu, today's matter has nothing to do with you. If he wants to punish you, just look for me. Yiqing Luo clutched her chest and stuck her head out to look at him. Yi Fengyu's footsteps halted as he turned back and met with Yiqing Luo's pair of chilly eyes. He smiled. I know. He walked out of the room and had just turned around to close the door when he heard Yiqing Luo's cold voice. You can't just endure everything. If you endure, the other party will step on your head. We are the legitimate sons and daughters of the first wife of the Yi family. If anything happens, big sister will take care of it. Yi Fengyu's hand that was about to close the door froze. After a while, he said nothing and closed the door. Young miss, young master knows his limits. You can rest at ease and recuperate. Ziling advised. Yiqing Luo sighed lightly and raised her hand to stroke her aching eyebrows. Xiao Yu's personality still needs to be tempered. Only by understanding the fickleness of the world can he truly grow. Chapter 69. Ziling was worried that once she left, no one would take care of her. Mississippi, I'm tired, I want to rest for a while. Yiqing Luo propped up her body and slowly laid down. She closed her eyes, her face full of exhaustion. Ziling tucked Yiqing Luo in and left the room to chase after Yifengyu. At the instant when the room door closed, Yiqing Luo, who had her eyes tightly shut, suddenly opened her eyes. The relaxed expression on her face also disappeared. She raised her hand and placed it on her chest that was wrapped in layers of bandages. Profound jade heart, it was most likely broken. It wasn't Yi Tianquang's palm. But when she resisted Yi Tianquang's second palm, the profound jade heart suddenly erupted with power. The current her couldn't even release profound chi to check the condition of her injury. Once she moved, her heart throbbed with pain, as if it was torn by something. She endured the pain and put on an unharmed appearance. She didn't want Yifengyu and Ziling to worry about her. Without the profound jade heart, it meant that she had no way to operate profound chi. She was equivalent to a cripple. She didn't give up and closed her eyes. She wanted to use her divine sense to explore her heart and see if her profound jade heart was intact. But just as she withdrew her divine sense, that tearing pain attacked again. Oh, a mouthful of sweet blood rushed up her throat. Yiqing Luo abruptly opened her eyes as she laid prone on the bed, and with a wah sound, she spat out a mouthful of blood. Looks like, the injury isn't light, little thing. Suddenly, a deep and mellow voice sounded in the room, like fine wine, intoxicating people's hearts. Yiqing Luo's body suddenly froze on the bed. There was someone in the room? She actually didn't sense it at all. Could it be that there was a problem with the profound jade heart? The instinct that had been formed over so many years would also have a problem? Yiqing Luo's eyes were sharp as she looked towards the direction of the voice. What she saw was a handsome face with peerless elegance. That pair of deep peach blossom eyes flashed with a demonic luster as he looked at her with a smile that wasn't a smile. Yiqing Luo's heart trembled for no reason. It's him. Dmo Xian. No wonder she couldn't sense the other's aura. How did you? Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased tightly as she looked at him vigilantly. Little thing, have you forgotten our 1-month appointment so quickly? Dmo Xian raised his eyebrows slightly. In the blink of an eye, he was already standing beside the bed. The strong wind brought along the elegant sandalwood scent unique to him. The promise of a month. Of course she remembered. This was the time limit for the profound heart jade that Dmo Xian had given her. Are you here to deliver the profound heart jade? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes and went straight to the point. Dmo Xian didn't expect her to be so straightforward. His long and narrow eyes revealed a meaningful smile. Little thing, you only remember this lord's profound heart jade? Of course. Yiqing Luo raised her eyes and examined Dmo Xian from head to toe as if she was examining a commodity. Apart from being able to give me the profound heart jade, do you have any other value? Ha ha, interesting. Dmo Xian suddenly burst into laughter, his chest shaking, unable to stop laughing. Little thing, you're getting more and more interesting. He bent over and placed his palm on Yiqing Luo's chest. This lord's decision a month ago is indeed not wrong. His eyes were dyed with a smile. A peerless beauty that caused people to be infatuated. Yiqing Luo's delicate body slightly trembled. Although she was clear that Dmo Xian's action was merely to investigate the profound heart jade in her body. Chapter 70. Yiqing Luo's face blushed slightly. In her past life, no one dared to touch her because of her status. In this life, she carried the title of the future crown prince consort and was a waste. No one was willing to get close to her. She was suddenly touched by a strange man like this. No matter who it was, they would also feel embarrassed. Although this wasn't the first time Dmo Xian touched her chest. But the last time, under those circumstances, she had no time to blush. The dignified overlord, touching a young lady without any explanation. Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed by the world? Yiqing Luo bit her lower lip and endured the burning sensation on her face. Oh. Dmo Xian raised his eyebrows and gave an evil smile. Who dares to ridicule? Ni. Ma. Yiqing Luo only had these 2 words in her heart to express her current mood. Fine. You're the overlord, you're awesome, you're willful. Who the hell dares to laugh at you, old man? If you want to ridicule, you should ridicule me for trying to seduce the overlord blah 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 blah. Fine. Old. Mother. Admit. Coward. Yiqing Luo curled her lips, too lazy to argue with Dmo Xian on this topic. Blush for what? Anyway, it's flat now, touch it if you want, who's afraid of who? Yiqing Luo, who calmed down, only felt that the temperature of the palm in front of her chest gradually rose. Suddenly, a ball of dazzling light overflowed from his palm. In an instant, it wrapped his hand into a ball. At the same time, the light seeped into Yiqing Luo's heart. Bursts of sharp pain in her heart were wrapped by a warm current. Powerful profound qi rushed into her limbs and bones. Yiqing Luo immediately closed her eyes and guided the profound qi in her body to circulate a few times before returning to her profound jade heart. Yiqing Luo didn't see that the light in front of her chest was faintly flickering with a treacherous red light. Flickering, extremely weak. Dmo Xian's slender fingers gently touched that red light. His peach blossom eyes were filled with a meaningful smile. The profound jade heart formed again. Yiqing Luo revolved her profound qi, and after a few circulations, the injuries on her body had slightly eased up. At least it wasn't like before, the pain was simply unbearable. When he opened his eyes again, he was faced with the same peerless and flawless face. At such a close distance, his breath sprayed on her face. Yiqing Luo could even clearly see the man's long eyelashes, thick and naturally curled upwards. The corners of her eyes were long and charming. The luster in his eyes exuded a captivating charm. To be honest, this face was really pleasing to the eye. Why are you still here? Yiqing Luo frowned. The implication was, you can get lost now. Dmo Xian's smile deepened, his voice was filled with an intoxicating magnetism. You've just finished using me and you want to chase me away? Little thing, you're really fickle. Finishing his words, he had already closed in on Yiqing Luo and his long arms scooped. Yiqing Luo's entire body had already fallen into Dmo Xian's embrace. The rich fragrance of sandalwood seeped into one's nose. His warmth chased away the chill in her body. This temperature, this thickness, it was a completely different feeling from me Feng Yu. Little thing, I have plenty of time to accompany you now. This time I've come to find you, I don't intend to leave. Dmo Xian's deep voice slowly sounded beside her ear. Between the words, there was even a hint of laughter mixed in. Not leaving? What did he mean? Dmo Xian was prepared to stay by her side? What the hell? What kind of joke was this? Yeah. Die. She couldn't afford to serve such a great Buddha. Chapter 71. Dmo Xian lowered his eyes, his deep black eyes gazed deeply at the person in his arms. At such a young age, she had already displayed a devastatingly beautiful appearance. Especially that pair of charming eyes, which was the most attractive. Clearly, it was wrapped with a layer of coquettish eyes. But in the depths of her eyes, it was like the winter frost. If one looked closely, one's scalp would tingle and tremble. Dmo Xian loved this pair of eyes. A person's eyes were the easiest to reveal a person's emotions. However, he was unable to see through Yiqing Luo's heart. On the contrary, he was attracted to her. Yiqing Luo felt goosebumps all over her body from his stare and wanted to break free from his hand. But Dmo Xian suddenly hugged her shoulders tightly. The next second, her chin was lifted. The man's cold thin lips had already covered her lips. For lips touched, the cold touch instantly dissipated between the two of them. What replaced it was a ball of blazing hot breath. Yiqing Luo's eyes widened, the temperature of her lips gradually rising. It was until the man's large palm, pressed against her slender waist, that Yiqing Luo suddenly regained her senses. A trace of embarrassment surfaced on her face. Yiqing Luo raised her palm and fiercely slammed towards Dmo Xian's chest. The man who was stealing her scent was extremely sensitive to avoid it. "Little thing, you are really fickle." Dmo Xian's slender fingers caressed his thin red lips. The tip of his tongue licked a bit, seemingly unsatisfied. "No matter what, I am also your savior. Is this how you repay your savior?" This action successfully angered Yiqing Luo. "I will repay kindness, but it does not mean that I will repay with my body." She gritted her teeth, propped up her body and raised her palm to strike. Damn it. And this was the first time someone dared to tease her. But the hand that was raised high had not had the time to swing down. Her small hand was grasped by a large and thick palm. 5 fingers forcefully and domineeringly inserted into her 5 fingers, 10 fingers interlocked. The profound qi in her body seemed to be suppressed by something, unable to be released. "Little thing, take a look, what is this?" Dmo Xian leaned close to Yiqing Luo's delicate body, held their tightly interlocked hands, and pointed at their fingers. Both of them wore the same ring on their ring fingers. When the 10 fingers intertwined, the red light on the ring seemed to be tightly intertwined with each other. "Do you still remember the words this lord had said?" Dmo Xian's brows narrowed slightly as his peach blossom eyes sparkled with an intoxicating luster. Looking at the profound phoenix ring, Yiqing Luo's ears seemed to ring with the words she heard that day at Heavenly Fortune Inn. "Since you've accepted this sovereign's ring, you're now this sovereign's person." What Dmo Xian was trying to express was that she was his woman. "Dmo Xian, you forced me to form a blood pact with the profound phoenix ring. It has nothing to do with me." Yiqing Luo gave a cold humph as she decisively distanced herself from him. "I'm not anyone's accessory, I'm only mine." She didn't belong to anyone and didn't want to rely on anyone. Only by using one's own hands to create the future was the most realistic. Dmo Xian squinted his eyes, reflecting an amused smile. It was no wonder he had fallen for her at first sight. It was indeed different. The smile in Dmo Xian's eyes deepened. "In fact, you have indeed accepted this sovereign's ring." Yiqing Luo gritted her teeth, too lazy to argue with him. This man was really her nemesis. She wasn't someone who easily revealed her emotions, but Dmo Xian could easily provoke all her emotions. Seeing her gloomy face, she remained silent for a long time. Dmo Xian chuckled softly, his slender fingers stroked Yiqing Luo's palm bit by bit. Chapter 72. Damn. This was definitely a fake Dizun. Did he have to be so shameless? Yiqing Luo's expression congealed as her charming eyes met the man's eyes. The dignified overlord is pestering a weak girl. Could it be that I have something that interests the overlord? She wasn't so narcissistic to think that Dmo Xian was attracted to her beauty, falling in love at first sight and falling in love again. Such a Mary Sue scenario would never happen to her. The only possibility was she had something that Dmo Xian needed. Only benefits would make a high and mighty man extend a helping hand to a girl he didn't even know. A flash of astonishment flashed across the depths of Dmo Xian's eyes. Soon after, his thin lips curled into a devilish smile. "Little thing, you're really smart. I like smart girls like you. So, what do you like about me?" Sure enough, he had other motives. Yiqing Luo frowned slightly as she pondered about what she had that was worth Dmo Xian's attention. Azure Dew bracelet? Shouldn't be possible. The Azure Dew bracelet was the Yi family's heirloom and could only be contracted by those with the Yi family's bloodline. Even if Dmo Xian took it away, it would just be an ordinary bracelet. Dragon God Cauldron? Not possible. Dmo Xian didn't even bat an eyelid when he gave her the profound phoenix ring. He shouldn't be lacking in alchemy equipment. These 2 legendary artifacts seemed to be the most valuable ones on her. What did Dmo Xian fancy? "Little thing, since you're so smart, then guess well. If you guess correctly, this lord will tell you." A low chuckle sounded in her ears. Cold thin lips pressed against her earlobe. The man's elegant sandalwood scent and that cold touch inexplicably made Yiqing Luo think of that kiss just now. If I guess correctly, do I need you to tell me? Yiqing Luo flew into a rage out of humiliation. Damn it. This was simply too suffocating. She couldn't beat Dmo Xian, so she could only let him take advantage of her. She was too weak. In this era where the strong preyed on the weak, only by becoming stronger than others could one have the qualifications to step on others. If I don't tell you, how will you know that you guessed correctly? Dmo Xian's face was full of smiles, as he admired that peerless countenance with incomparable delight. Under his words, he was almost driven mad. This little fellow was really interesting. It had been a long time since anyone could pique his interest. Seeing the little guy going crazy, he felt like he was teasing a little pet. Dmo Xian retracted the brilliance in his eyes as his palm supported Yiqing Luo's face. Little thing, something like the profound heart jade can't be formed just because you say so. You can extend the time limit just because you say so. What does that mean? If you want the time limit of the profound heart jade to be extended, you must always be together with this lord. Dmo Xian's thin lips curled up frivolously, the corners of his long and narrow eyes rippling with light. Yiqing Luo was just about to berate him for being so thick-skinned to the point of throwing away his moral integrity just to stay behind. In her mind, old man Song's voice suddenly resounded, "Girl, what he said is the truth." Yiqing Luo was puzzled as she asked in her heart, "Why do you say that?" The profound heart jade that he formed for you is a part of the energy extracted from his own profound heart jade and transferred to you. In other words, his profound heart jade is the parent body of the profound heart jade in your body. In other words, the profound heart jade in her heart right now was the energy that was split from Dmo Xian's profound heart jade. If Dmo Xian was by her side, the profound heart jade in her body could be controlled. Chapter 73. Wasn't this forcefully binding her and Dmo Xian together? Yiqing Luo really wanted to howl with backbone. Sister vows to die rather than submit. She would rather not have Dmo Xian's profound heart jade than to be involved with this dangerous person. But she admitted defeat. From old man Song's words, she also understood. Looking at the entire Nirvana realm, she was afraid that there wouldn't be a second person who could help her form a profound heart jade. Even if she found one, that person might not be willing to form a profound heart jade for her. She might not be willing to be bound to that person. Before she found her own profound heart jade, she could only accept Dmo Xian's help. "I'm also too lazy to chase you away, you can stay if you want." Yiqing Luo looked up, her tone solemn, "But, my matters, you better not interfere." This man was too powerful, too unfathomable. With such a man by her side, if she couldn't control the consequences, it was very likely that she would be controlled by him for life. Dmo Xian's eyes were dark, his thin lips curled up as he teased, "A few days ago, who was the one who took this lord's clothes and used it to intimidate others?" Yiqing Luo suddenly frowned, her gaze piercing straight towards Dmo Xian's heart like an arrow. "You investigated me?" "Little thing, to say investigated, this is too serious." Dmo Xian lazily leaned on Yiqing Luo's side, "This lord only let wind protect you in secret." Protection? Damn, she was almost beaten to death several times, but didn't see that black-clad youth appear? What kind of protection was that? To put it bluntly, it was surveillance. It seemed that Dmo Xian cared a lot about something on her. Too lazy to argue with him, Yiqing Luo rolled her eyes. "Also, don't call me little thing, although I'm not as graceful as other girls of the same age, but I still have what I deserve." 15 years old, in ancient times, was already the age for marriage. Calling him little thing, could it be that Dmo Xian was already an old man? She stared at Dmo Xian's face for a long time. No matter how she looked, this face looked like it was in its 20s. Could it be that Dmo Xian's profound grade was at least above sky profound? In his memories, profound practitioners above the sky profound realm would be able to retain their youthful looks once they reached a certain realm. It was highly possible that Dmo Xian was an old man in his 70s or 80s. Dmo Xian did not know what she was thinking. He only felt that Yiqing Luo's bold and unpretentious words were very interesting. He laughed out as his vision swept past a certain part of Yiqing Luo. This lord really can't tell where you have it. Pooey. Yiqing Luo spat at him unhappily. Although it wasn't big, it definitely wasn't small either, okay? Furthermore, this thing had to be in the right size so that it would look more coordinated, right? If you don't call me little thing, then I'll call you Al Luo. Dmo Xian's index finger lightly touched the tip of her nose. Al Luo should also call my name in this way. Yiqing Luo acutely discovered that when Dmo Xian said this sentence, he had already abandoned the self-address of this lord. Did this mean that he had already discarded his identity in front of her? Calling his name? Ah Xian? Yiqing Luo felt a chill down her spine as goosebumps formed all over her body. She turned her head away, showing a look that she didn't want to talk to him. Dmo Xian's peach blossom eyes narrowed slightly, but spontaneously continued the previous topic. Don't worry, I like to see the process of you slowly becoming stronger. Naturally, I will not intervene in any of your matters. If he intervened, there would be no such fun little thing. This tone, made Yiqing Luo's slender brows tightly knit together. Why did it feel like he was coaxing a pet? Chapter 74. Perhaps it was because he had just come out of the Azure Dew bracelet, and concocting pills had consumed too much of his energy. Afterwards, he was injured by Yi Tian Kuang. Not long after, he was extremely sleepy. Yiqing Luo simply couldn't be bothered about Dmo Xian's existence as she shut her eyes and went straight to sleep. In a daze, Yiqing Luo only felt that her body was as light as a feather, floating and floating. After floating for an unknown amount of time, she finally felt her feet touch the ground. She immediately opened her eyes and blinked blankly. After seeing everything clearly, Yiqing Luo was totally dumbfounded. His pupils dilated infinitely, and his eyes were filled with astonishment. The place she was at was actually a battlefield that was covered in corpses and blood. The surroundings were shrouded in raging flames. The war drums were beating and the shouts were hoarse. The countless figures on the battlefield faced each other with their swords and sabers. Profound chi soared into the sky. This was no ordinary battle. Instead, it was a battle between two profounders. Yiqing Luo's brows creased slightly as she couldn't understand what the hell was going on. Just as he was about to pull over a soldier beside him who was about to rush into the battlefield, he wanted to ask about it. However, his outstretched hand went right through the soldier. Holy shit! What the hell? Yiqing Luo's eyes widened as she raised her hand. Had she turned into a ghost, or had she met a ghost? Hey, where are you guys, can you see me? Yiqing Luo jumped in front of a soldier and waved her hands in front of him. However, the soldier also directly passed through her, roaring as he charged into the battlefield. No one could see her, no one could touch her. Yiqing Luo tried to call out to Old Man Song, but no matter how she called out, she couldn't get any response at all. In this unfamiliar place, Yiqing Luo was unable to ascertain her safety. She didn't dare to rashly extract her divine sense into the Azure Dew bracelet. Just as she was filled with confusion, a sudden burning sensation started to burn her heart. Yiqing Luo's face turned pale as she suddenly clutched her chest. No. Something was not right. What hurt was not the heart, but the profound heart jade. A powerful force was currently pressing down on her profound jade heart. What was going on? It was just a nap. How could he sleepwalk in his sleep? Roar, a sharp beast roar broke through the sky. All the profound practitioners on the battlefield stopped what they were doing when they heard this roar. A powerful aura instantly enveloped the entire battlefield. The roar grew louder and louder. His roar shook the earth and the mountains. With another roar, the ground cracked. Yiqing Luo clutched her chest with one hand, enduring the bursts of scorching pain from her profound jade heart. Her complexion was pale as she looked towards the direction where the voice came from. What kind of beast was roaring? He was actually able to shock the hundreds of thousands of profound practitioners present. No matter if it was her past or present life, Yiqing Luo had at most seen 200 to 300 people. Because of her one sentence, they froze on the spot, not daring to move. Hundreds of thousands of profound practitioners were in a deadlock on the battlefield where blood flowed like a river. It was an incomparably magnificent sight. Whether that wild beast was friend or foe was still unclear. But Yiqing Luo wasn't that nervous, only feeling curious. Anyway, no one on the battlefield could see or touch her. Perhaps this beast was her opportunity to return to the Nirvana realm. Thinking of this, Yiqing Luo was even more curious about that wild beast. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, the roar of the wild beast gradually stopped. Chapter 75. That lump of white thing leaped into the air. Instantly, Yiqing Luo was shrouded in a shadow. That huge thing directly pounced on Yiqing Luo to the ground. Damn it! Pouncing on someone without saying a word. Wasn't she transparent here? No one could see her, no one could touch her. How did this lump of ghost thing accurately pin her down? Hey, move your paw, I'm about to be squashed to death by you. Yiqing Luo shouted. Wait a minute, something seemed wrong. Paw. Right. What pressed on her face was a huge paw, directly feeding her a mouthful of mud. A fishy smell assaulted her nose. This lump of white huge thing was furry and smelly. But the strength it used to press on Yiqing Luo was very well controlled. Its size was at least 3 times the size of Yiqing Luo. But all he did was rub his plump head against her chest. But it only used one paw to cover her face. Not heavy, just smelly. However, the white behemoth had no intention of letting her go. Even if it didn't crush her to death, it wanted to stink her to death. The huge thing let go of its paw, and before Yiqing Luo could catch her breath, she saw it open its bloody mouth. A mouthful of stinky breath directly sprayed down towards Yiqing Luo's face. Before she fainted, Yiqing Luo's peripheral vision seemed to sweep across the hundreds of thousands of people on the battlefield, one after another, kneeling down in her direction. After that, she lost all consciousness. Lass, wake up. Lass, old man Song's shouts rang in her ears, one after another, so noisy that Yiqing Luo's ears were buzzing. She frowned and waved her hand impatiently. What are you doing, old man Song? Just as she raised her hand, she suddenly felt a burst of pain. It was the kind of pain that spread from her wrist to the rest of her body. Yiqing Luo didn't feel sleepy at all. Her entire wrist felt like it was being burned by a raging fire. She immediately raised her right arm and saw that the azure dew bracelet on her wrist was actually encircled by a ball of fire. The cherry blossom pattern on the bracelet was constantly rotating. The fire jumped excitedly, burning wave after wave. She reached out to touch it, but was forced back by the heat. His entire right hand felt like it was being roasted. Little girl, you're finally awake. Old Sung let out a sigh of relief. I didn't think that the white tiger would actually come after smelling your blood. This caused the azure dew bracelet to receive the white tiger's strength, making it somewhat uncontrollable. Yiqing Luo's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. When she heard old man Song's explanation, she gritted her teeth and said, What white tiger? You don't know? Old man Song's spirit body floated in front of Yiqing Luo, landed on the bed and pointed to the side. You didn't bring it back? His line of sight followed old man Song's hand. He saw a small white ball nestled at the head of the bed, curled up into a ball, looking very cute. As though it sensed Yiqing Luo's line of sight, it moved and its little body stretched out as it gave a lazy stretch. His face met Yiqing Luo's. That little thing was the size of a palm, and its entire body was snow white, without a single strand of mixed hair. What astonished Yiqing Luo the most was its eyes. A pair of treacherous blood-red eyes, round and shiny, sparkling with a watery light. It was indescribably cute, but also indescribably strange. It blinked its eyes with a sleepy appearance. Its little claws scratched its ears and immediately jumped onto Yi-Ching Luo's stomach. Was this the freaking colossus she saw in her dream just now? Damn! Where did it look like a tiger? Chapter 76. This is the form of the sacred beast to maintain its spiritual qi. Old Man Sung explained, once in battle, it will transform into a battle beast form. Yi-Ching Luo narrowed her eyes, carefully sizing up the white fluffy little thing in front of her. The little thing also blinked back at her with its blank and innocent blood-colored eyes. No matter how she looked at it, it was impossible to imagine that it was the giant beast in her dream that had a sharp howl and made hundreds of thousands of cultivators bow down to it. Wait a minute. Yi-Ching Luo's hand suddenly touched the little thing's forehead. Only to see the word king faintly flashing on its furry forehead. Her fingers had just touched the little thing's forehead. The little thing opened its mouth and let out a soft moan, and actually closed its eyes in enjoyment. Its sharp fangs were incomparably sharp. It is one of the 4 ancient sacred beasts, the white tiger. Old Man Sung's voice came again, his tone couldn't conceal his emotions. I didn't expect it to take the initiative to find you. 4 ancient sacred beasts? Mu Ran searched through her memory. Regarding this knowledge, the original owner of the body didn't have a deep memory. She only knew that in the Nirvana realm, there were all kinds of profound beasts. These profound beasts, like humans, were divided into different levels. According to the strength and talent of each profound beast, the ordinary ones were collectively called magic beasts. Magic beasts were divided into low-level magic beasts, middle-level magic beasts, and high-level magic beasts. Further up was the mirage beast level. Mirage beasts had their own consciousness. A small number of them could speak human language and communicate with their masters. There were also 3 levels of low, middle, and high. Above the mirage beast were the legendary sacred beasts. Looking at the entire Nirvana realm, there were only 4 sacred beasts that had always been by the side of the divine emperor in the ancient times. Eastern azure dragon, southern vermilion bird, western white tiger, and northern black tortoise. However, these 4 legendary sacred beasts had long disappeared after the death of the divine emperor. How could one of the ancient sacred beasts find her? Could it be that the sacred beast could see that she was a transmigrator and wanted to take advantage of the good luck of a transmigrator? Don't underestimate it. Old Man Sung saw through the suspicion in Yi-Ching Luo's eyes. He poked her head. It took the initiative to find you and make a contract with you. Therefore, your strength determines its ability. In other words, she was strong, so was White Tiger. She was weak, so was White Tiger. In other words, after forming a contract with her, the White Tiger would lose its power as a holy beast and would only be left with a layer of holy beast power. Only when she grows up step by step, will the White Tiger grow up with her. In that case, it seemed like she was the one who had dragged White Tiger down. The power of the White Tiger has already been sealed within the Azure Dew bracelet. This will be of great help to your cultivation. Old Man Sung sensed that the Azure Dew bracelet's scorching heat was gradually dissipating, and his spirit body leisurely drilled into the Azure Dew bracelet. Now, you and the White Tiger's power are interchangeable. You can take the opportunity to cultivate your feelings. This old man will go and check if the White Tiger's power is stored properly. In the blink of an eye, Old Man Sung was no longer breathing. Roar, roar, the little fellow opened its mouth and cried out a few times. Its little claws kept on holding Yi-Ching Luo's hand. The palm-sized dumpling was extremely cute. She reached out and stroked its head. White Tiger, the little guy widened his eyes and stared at her with bloodshot eyes, as if asking, "What's wrong?" Suddenly, the image of the majestic giant creature in his dream surfaced in his mind. He had already made up his mind. Chapter 77. Chi-Chi. The White Tiger's blood-red eyes flickered slightly. It nodded its small head and roared happily. Obviously, he was very satisfied with his new name. Yiqing Luo teased Chi-Chi for a while more. Looking at the palm-sized little white tiger's obedient look, the smile on her face grew even wider. In her cat form, Chi-Chi did not have any strange smell. She wondered if Chi-Chi, who had turned into a white tiger, would be able to make her faint from the stench, just like in her dreams. Thinking of that dream, Yiqing Luo suddenly congealed. He placed Chi-Chi at the head of the bed and sent his divine sense into the azure dew bracelet. Old song. Yiqing Luo saw at one glance that the old man who said he was going to check on White Tiger's power storage was leisurely lying in the thin mist. When Old Man Song heard her voice, he almost fell from the mist. Lass, aren't you cultivating your relationship with Chi-Chi? Why are you here again? When he said that, Yiqing Luo was enlightened. It turned out that Old Man Song had been hiding in the azure dew bracelet all along, eavesdropping on her interaction with Chi-Chi. Old Man Song, are you hiding something from me? Yiqing Luo frowned slightly and stared at him fiercely. Ever since Chi-Chi appeared, Old Man Song had been acting strangely. Something was definitely wrong. This old man has many things to hide from you. You are still a little girl. Before the time is right, this old man will not say a word. Fine, if you don't want to answer, I'll ask. Yiqing Luo raised her brows and raised a finger. First question, what was that dream I had? Then, he raised his second finger and said, second question. Why did the white tiger, one of the 4 great saint beasts, choose me in my dream? On the battlefield that was littered with corpses, no one could see or touch her. Why was Chi-Chi the only one who pounced on him? And even jumped from a dream to reality? After all, it was the first time he came to this world. The original owner's understanding of this world was too little. He was full of questions, but he could not get any answers. Old Man Song was also clearly avoiding her. Moreover, Old Man Song's expression was one of shock when he found out that she had contracted Chi-Chi. However, that kind of surprise was not because she had inexplicably formed a contract with one of the 4 great sacred beasts. Instead, she was surprised that Chi-Chi would take the initiative to look for her. As expected, Old Man Song's expression froze. After a long period of silence, he coughed dryly. This question, how could I possibly know? I've been sealed in the azure dew bracelet for who knows how many hundreds or thousands of years. I've long since lost track of the matters of the outside world. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes suspiciously. Seeing that she still wanted to ask, Old Man Song suddenly changed the topic. That's right, lass, didn't you find the letter your mother left behind in the secret compartment last time? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she pondered deeply for a moment. If Old Man Song didn't want to say anything, even if she tried to coerce him, act spoiled and cute, Old Man Song might not say anything. Forget it, when the time comes, Old Man Song will naturally tell her. On this point, Yiqing Luo absolutely believed in Old Man Song. Thus, he didn't pursue the matter any further. Following Old Man Song's words, he said, yeah, I haven't had the time to see it yet. That day, in a secret compartment under her pillow, she found 2 letters left behind by her mother. Before she could read them, she was disturbed by Yi Fengyu. Speaking of which, she really should take a look. Why did Nyangqin specially leave 2 letters for her and Xiaoyu? And why did she hide it so deeply? Was it to prevent anyone from discovering it? Yi Tianquang. Yiqing Luo's mind immediately flashed this name. If it was really to prevent Yi Tianquang. Chapter 78. Yiqing Luo pondered for a moment and took out the brocade box her mother left behind from the profound phoenix ring. This was inside the azure dew bracelet, so she didn't have to worry about outsiders around. Anyway, when she woke up, she didn't see Dmo Xian, nor did she sense his presence. Old Man Sung dared to appear in her room in his spiritual form. This was enough to prove that Dmo Xian was indeed not in the Three Springs sect. Therefore, she could boldly open the brocade box and take out the 2 letters. Yiqing Luo and her mother's relationship had always been deep. Right now, Holding these 2 letters and looking at her mother's familiar handwriting, Yiqing Luo felt her nose turn slightly sour. Her fingers trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside was a piece of yellowed paper. What surprised Yiqing Luo the most was the material of the paper. It obviously looked like a thin piece of paper, but when she touched it, it actually felt like leather. A small piece, stacked layer upon layer. When it was spread out on the table, it was the size of half a wooden table. This is... Yiqing Luo was astonished. She stretched out her finger and stroked along the paper. This was not a letter at all, but a map. It was an extremely complicated and dazzling map. On the paper that was the size of half a wooden table, densely packed routes were marked. Even Yiqing Luo couldn't guarantee that she would be able to move unimpeded in this map. Why did her mother leave her such a complicated map? Her heart was filled with mixed feelings. Yiqing Luo's slender brows knitted into a ball. What an intricate map. Old Man Song floated in midair, glanced at the map and couldn't help but sigh. Yiqing Luo suddenly looked up. Do you know what place this map is? Old Man Song frowned and stared carefully for a while, stroking his grizzled beard. This old man has roamed the Nirvana realm for many years, but I have never seen this map, nor have I seen a place that matches this map. Even Old Man Song didn't know. This map, what kind of place was it? Yiqing Luo glanced at the other letter in the brocade box. She opened it. It was a letter. She thought that in the envelope, there would also be a complicated map. She was still thinking, if the box and the 2 letters that her mother left behind were maps. She was going to form a treasure hunting and digging team. Nyangqin's graceful handwriting is on the letter paper. My child, if you seize the brocade box, I implore you to deliver these 2 letters to your sister as soon as possible. What I'm about to say next is what mother wants Luo to say. This map belongs to Luo Only Luo can reach the final destination. Promise mother that after you get the map, you must not tell anyone. You must protect yourself. This map must not be made known to anyone. Otherwise, it will bring about a fatal disaster. Towards the end, his handwriting became slightly weak, as if he didn't have the strength to continue writing. Yiqing Luo's vision looked towards the map on the table as her expression turned grave. What kind of map was it? And it would bring about a fatal disaster? Yiqing Luo was getting more and more interested in understanding the destination of this map. With a wave of her hand, she stored the map and letter into the profound phoenix ring. As soon as she came out of the azure dew bracelet, Yiqing Luo's ears twitched. She heard the sound of hurried footsteps, sometimes heavy and sometimes light. When she reached the door, Yiqing Luo could hear that person's heavy breathing. Chapter 79. It was Ziling. Yiqing Luo got out of bed just as Ziling rushed in. She held her lame leg and panted anxiously, "Miss, 8th young master." 8th young master was punished by master. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed. Yi Fengyu's punishment was expected. Yi Tianquang was seriously injured and full of anger. At this critical juncture, Yi Fengyu wanted to express his concern, and at the same time, plead for leniency for his older sister. Yi Tianquang would naturally vent his anger on him. The other concubines had long hated Yi Fengyu for occupying the position of the first wife's son for many years and would fan the flames. With his temper, it would be strange if he didn't suffer. Yiqing Luo was in no hurry. If she didn't let Yi Fengyu suffer and hand over his heart to the wrong person, he would never learn to grow up. Did he follow Yiqing Qian all the way to Yi Tianquang's bedroom? Yiqing Luo didn't even bother to call him by his name. Ziling was startled and immediately looked around. As a daughter, it was unfilial to call an elder by his name. She made sure there was no one around and nodded with relief. Then he knelt outside the bedroom until Yi Tianquang woke up and wanted to plead for me. Instead, he was humiliated by the second and third concubines and sent to the ancestral hall. Ziling's eyes widened. "Miss, how do you know so much? Don't tell me, you were there too." "Sure enough." Yi Fengyu really followed her plan and carried it out one by one. Should she say that she knew him too well or that he was stupid enough to be understood at a glance? This was also the reason why she specifically asked Ziling to follow behind. To the ancestral hall. Yi Qing Luo straightened her clothes and led Ziling to the ancestral hall. She rushed to the ancestral hall and was stopped by 2 guards. "Seventh Miss, this is the Yi family's ancestral hall. No one can enter without the sovereign's order." The guards were ordered by the second madam to never let Yi Qing Luo step into the ancestral hall. Yi Qing Luo sneered, "Is it the sovereign's order or the second concubine's?" This form of address caused the guards to look at each other, hesitating. Yi Qing Luo was the Yi family's first wife's daughter. As for the second madam, she was just a concubine, not even a concubine. Only the people in the mansion called her madam in order to please the second madam. Thinking of the recent period of time, the entire residence was circulating about Yi Qing Luo's change. The 2 attendants immediately felt their hair stand on end. He couldn't move aside, but he also couldn't not move aside. Yi Qing Luo ran out of patience. She raised her palms and rolled up 2 huge waves, directly bombarding the chests of the 2 attendants. The attendant flew out. Yi Qing Luo led Ziling to kick open the door of the ancestral hall and walked in to take a look. A ball of anger spread in his heart. Her pair of enchanting eyes were also filled with sparks of fire. The ancestral hall was dark, illuminated only by 2 white candles. The candlelight swayed back and forth, illuminating the spirit tablets. It added to the strange atmosphere. 8th young master. After seeing the situation in the ancestral hall, Ziling was also frightened and cried out. Sister. Yi Fengyu heard the voice and turned to look. That immature and handsome little face was covered with a thick layer of sweat. Yi Qing Luo's eyesight could see everything clearly in the dark. She clearly saw that Yi Fengyu's lips had been bitten and had traces of blood. He grimaced in pain but forced a smile and called out to her, "Sister, I'm fine, you go back and rest first." "Fine? You call this fine?" Chapter 80. Yi Fengyu knelt in front of the memorial tablet table, wearing only an inner shirt. His inner shirt was torn in several places. Yi Qing Luo could see that it was whip marks. What made Yi Qing Luo most furious was, her brother was kneeling on the tiles. On a few bumpy and broken tiles. The sharp tiles had cut the skin of Yi Fengyu's knee and blood oozed out, staining the tiles and the ground red. Those people from the Yi family actually used such cruel means to deal with her brother. "Get up." Yi Qing Luo strode in, her tone cold. "Sister." Yi Fengyu's face was pale, but he bit his lips and shook his head. "Father said that as long as I kneel here for a day and a night, he will forgive you. Get up." Yi Qing Luo's tone became heavier, her eyes became colder. Yi Fengyu opened his mouth and was about to speak. "If you don't get up, from now on, I don't have a brother like you." Yi Qing Luo was really angry. Full of anger, raging in the bottom of her heart. "Since I dared to do it, I don't need any forgiveness. What's more, Yi Tianquang is not qualified to talk to me about forgiveness." Yi Qing Luo's eyes were cold, directly to Yi Fengyu. "If you still think of me as your sister, stand up now." "Sister." Yi Fengyu looked like he wanted to cry but had no tears. He could see that his sister was really angry. But father was father after all. What his sister did was against filial piety. If this got out, the entire West Continent and even the Nirvana realm would laugh at his sister for a lifetime. He didn't spend much time with his sister, but he knew her temperament very well. If he didn't get up, his sister would definitely turn around and leave, not acknowledging him as her brother. His heart was filled with anxiety. He wanted to move his body, but that only caused the tiles on his knees to dig even deeper into his body. The pain made his body tremble uncontrollably. "Ziling, let's go." Yi Qing Luo sneered, turned around and left without saying a word. Ziling followed behind, looking at Yi Fengyu anxiously, then caught up with Yi Qing Luo to plead. But when faced with Yi Qing Luo's expressionless face, Ziling was stunned speechless. Sister. Yi Fengyu was anxious, seeing that Yi Qing Luo was about to walk out of the ancestral hall. He immediately stood up and wanted to chase after her. Just as he straightened his legs, a tearing pain came from his badly mutilated knees, causing him to suck in a breath of cold air. He fell to the ground, breathing heavily. Sister, don't go, don't go. Yi Qing Luo halted her footsteps. But she did not turn back. She just stood at the entrance of the ancestral hall and looked at him coldly with her clear eyes. Miss, 8th young master's leg. Ziling saw that her miss had softened, so she took the opportunity to speak up, wanting to help Yi Fengyu. Walk over by yourself. Yi Qing Luo's cold voice interrupted Ziling's thoughts. Miss, step by step, walk in front of me and swear to me that you are my, Yi Qing Luo's, younger brother. You have backbone, you have guts. From today onwards, this pair of knees will not kneel to the heavens, not kneel to the earth, not kneel to anyone. Yi Qing Luo's voice was cold as ice. She doted on her younger brother, Yi Fengyu. She wanted to train her younger brother well. However, if Yi Fengyu was unable to mature no matter what, she would definitely not waste her time on a hopeless person. Kneeling is the way of the weak. Chapter 81. Yi Fengyu stared at Yi Qing Luo in a daze, his pupils dilating little by little. In his heart, thousands of waves were set off because of Yi Qing Luo's words. He knelt in front of Yi Tianquang's bedroom. He let the second and third household's concubines insult him. Second madam, in order to avenge her own daughter, used a soft whip and ruthlessly lashed him. He thought that this was to make Yi Tianquang forgive Yi Qing Luo. So, it was okay for him to suffer a little for his sister. But he forgot Yi Qing Luo's character. How could she care about Yi Tianquang's forgiveness? Sister. I understand. Yi Fengyu lowered his eyes. Thinking of this period of time, Yi Qing Luo's teachings and the words she said to him. He was a man. A real man with an indomitable spirit was unyielding, and unyielding. There were many ways to protect his sister. But this time, he chose the stupidest one. Even if he really knelt for a day and night, his father would not let his sister off. There were too many uncertain factors. It was better to grasp all the certainty in his own hands. Yi Qing Luo looked at him indifferently, watching his pair of dazed and helpless eyes regain their brilliance. Her worried heart finally felt at ease. Yi Fengyu endured the pain and climbed up. 2 bloody legs, swaying, supported his body. Step by step, he approached Yi Qing Luo with incomparable difficulty. Every time he took a step forward, the smile on Yi Qing Luo's lips deepened a little. Until he walked in front of her. Very good, you better remember today's pain. Yi Qing Luo smiled and stretched out her hand to touch his messy hair. Immediately, she looked at Ziling. Bring little you to my courtyard. Ziling got permission, nodded repeatedly and quickly walked to his side, holding his arm. Before the three of them had time to go out of the ancestral hall, they heard a sharp mocking voice. 7th Miss, the ancestral hall is where the Yi family's ancestors are placed. How can you behave atrociously here? Outside the door, 2nd Madam, surrounded by several old women, slowly walked in. Old Master is the one who punished 8th Young Master. If you want to take 8th Young Master away, you have to ask for Old Master's permission first. 2nd Madam's eyes were filled with hatred towards Yi Qing Luo. How could he not hate them? His 2 precious daughters were seriously injured one after another. Yi Qing Ling's jade heart was destroyed, turning her into a cripple. Yi Qing Qian was almost disfigured, and if it wasn't for the medicine she got from her maiden family, her eldest daughter's face would really be ruined. All these were caused by this slut, Yi Qing Luo. Just as the 2nd Madam was about to step into the ancestral hall, a soft voice drifted over with the wind. According to the rules, 2nd Aunt, you are not allowed to enter this ancestral hall. The word 2nd Inyang caused 2nd Madam's face to turn as pale as paper. What she hated the most were these 3 words. She was a concubine of the Yi family. Her name could not be included in the Yi family's genealogy, nor did she have the right to enter the ancestral hall. Seventh Miss is not only ruthless, even your mouth is so powerful. Second Madam's eyes were sinister, her hands under her robe tightly curled into fists. Are you human? Yi Qing Luo raised her eyebrows slightly, smiling faintly. You. Second Madam stretched out her hand and pointed at Yi Qing Luo, her whole body trembling with anger. A good dog doesn't stand in the way. Yi Qing Luo smiled again. Chapter 82. Yi Qing Luo threw a look at Ziling. Ziling understood. She helped Yi Fengyu over the threshold of the ancestral hall and walked out. Second Madam glared at Yi Fengyu fiercely and a few maids behind her went up to stop Ziling. Without master's order, eighth young master must kneel in the ancestral hall today. Second Madam growled bitterly. Didn't Yi Qing Luo care about her brother? Then she would let Yi Qing Luo have a taste of the pain she felt for the people she cared about. She must be prepared to bear the consequences if she dared to hurt her two daughters. The more Second Madam thought about it, the more hatred burned in her heart. She clenched her fists and a murderous look appeared on her gentle face. Take eighth young master back to the ancestral hall. Ziling was a cripple and Yi Fengyu was injured all over. How could they move when those maids blocked their way? Just as the old maids were about to pull them apart with a fierce look, a silent blast of energy exploded around them. Those old maids were inexplicably sent flying. Second Madam's expression changed and she took a step back, staring at Yi Qing Luo in horror. Speaking of Second Madam's identity, it was a bit embarrassing. She was a collateral relative of the Yuqi family. This was also one of the reasons why Yi Qing Luo wanted to provoke the feud between the Yuqi family and the Three Springs sect. A collateral relative of a profound practitioner's family naturally had a high level of profound cultivation. Second Madam clearly felt that just when the maids were about to catch Ziling and Yi Fengyu, Yi Qing Luo's body suddenly rose a cold wave of qi. That wave of qi was so powerful that it made people tremble. Immediately, those maids were sent flying by the wave of qi. However, from beginning to end, Yi Qing Luo did not move at all. To be able to release profound qi without making a sound, how strong was Yi Qing Luo? Second Madam felt a chill down her spine and looked at Yi Qing Luo with fear in her eyes. But how could she be willing to bow down to Yi Qing Luo? At this moment, suddenly a gentle laughter came. We are all family, why bother to fight and hurt each other's harmony? They looked towards the direction of the voice. A man in a white robe walked over leisurely, waving a folding fan. There was an olive-colored python belt around his waist, and a jade pendant hung from it. His face was also very good. His skin was like jade, and his pair of warm eyes seemed to carry a myriad of tenderness. Yi Fengru, the second young master of the Yi clan. Yi Qing Luo's mind suddenly flashed this person's name. Sure enough, he lived up to his name, looking like a refined and noble young master. Second young master. The Second Madam's face darkened when she saw him. The maids around him, as well as Ziling, bowed their heads and greeted respectfully, Second young master. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows and carefully sized up Yi Fengru as her lips curled into a meaningful smile. Yi Fengru was in the Yi clan. Although he didn't follow Yi Tianquang, he was in charge of the Yi clan's business and Three Springs sect's affairs. However, he was in charge of all the expenses of the Three Springs sect. He was equivalent to the housekeeper of the Yi clan. Although Yi Fengru seemed as warm as jade, his eyes were filled with a bit of gloominess. This person was definitely not as simple as he seemed on the surface. Manage. Family? He really managed this family obediently. In the entire Three Springs sect, who did not respect Yi Fengru? This was the power of Yi Fengru. Second young master, you came at the right time, come and judge. Second Madam's eyes rolled and suddenly complained to Yi Fengru. Chapter 83. Second Madam pushed everything onto Yi Qing Luo and brought up Yi Tianquang's orders. As long as Yi Fengru was willing to stand on her side, Yi Qing Luo would not be able to escape today. Yi Fengru lightly swept a glance at Yi Qing Luo and immediately shifted his line of sight to the inside of the ancestral hall, on those few tiles. The tiles were stained with blood, and so was the ground. Looking at the wounds all over Yi Fengru's body, anyone who wasn't blind could tell what the truth was. Yi Qing Luo didn't say anything. She wanted to see who this second brother of hers, who was in charge of the inner court, was. All eyes were on Yi Fengru. A moment later, Yi Fengru's lips curled into a faint smile as he stared at Yi Fengru. Just when everyone thought that he was going to judge, they heard him say something irrelevant. "Eighth younger brother, I heard that you've been admitted to the Heavenly Academy." What was going on? The second madam's expression immediately changed, and she was extremely embarrassed. Yi Fengru was directly ignoring the second madam. He didn't put the second madam in his eyes at all. Yi Qing Luo was also slightly stunned, not understanding the meaning of Yi Fengru's words. "Yes. I received the admission notice yesterday," Yi Fengru replied softly. "Second brother is in high profound class 2. If he is bullied in the academy, he can come to class 2 to look for second brother." Yi Fengru's gentle eyes narrowed slightly, as if he was happy for his brother. Yi Fengru, who was originally weak and leaning on Ziling's support, suddenly raised his head. "Gao Xian," his tone was filled with yearning. Seeing Yi Fengru in a trance, muttering the two words, "Gao Xian," in a daze, the smile on Yi Fengru's face gradually deepened. "Eighth younger brother, go back and recuperate. The Heavenly Academy is different from ordinary academies." Yi Fengru pretended to be concerned. For new students who have just entered the academy, other than the admission test, there's also the ability test. That's the test that decides which class you'll be assigned to study in. It's extremely important. Yi Fengru's eyes immediately lit up, and the corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. "Thank you for your guidance, second brother." Yi Fengru waved his hand dismissively and motioned for Ziling to quickly help Yi Fengru back. The second madam's face was extremely gloomy. Listening to Yi Fengru and Yi Fengru's brotherly conversation, she gnashed her teeth in anger. "Second young master, he can't leave." The second madam stood in front of Yi Fengru. "It is the master who wants to punish the eighth young master. The eighth young master cannot leave the ancestral hall." The corner of Yi Fengru's lips curled up, and he displayed a scholarly air. "Second mother, eighth brother is only a 15-year-old child. You're making him kneel on such sharp tiles. Aren't you trying to cripple eighth brother's legs?" At this point, he suddenly lowered his voice and smiled even more gently. "If father knew that you destroyed the legs of the Yi clan's legitimate son, making the Three Springs sect the laughing stock of the Western continent, what would he do?" The second madam shuddered and her expression changed drastically. Yi Fengru chuckled a few times, then waved his fan and gracefully left. The second madam was frightened, and when she saw that Yi Fengru's knees were badly mutilated and he couldn't even stand steadily, she didn't dare to act rashly. He immediately ordered the two children in charge of guarding the ancestral hall to clean up the tiles and blood in the hall. He didn't have the mood to bother about Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo looked at Yi Fengru's back as he left, her eyes flashed with a touch of deep thought. This man was really not simple. In just a few words, he resolved the matter without offending either side. Chapter 84. Yi Fengru's approach seemed to be another purpose. "It's all right, there's plenty of time in the future." She would eventually know Yi Fengru's purpose. Right now, the most important thing was to heal his injuries as soon as possible. Yi Qing Luo gathered her thoughts and hurried towards the direction of the abandoned courtyard. Fortunately, his injuries were only superficial wounds. Yi Qing Luo took out the medicine that she used to rush to the level of an alchemist. Apply what needs to be applied, eat what needs to be eaten, and drink what needs to be drunk. It would take at most 2 to 3 days for his wounds to be completely healed. What does the assessment competition that Yi Fengru mentioned mean? Yi Qing Luo, who was sitting on the bedside, scooped up a spoonful of medicinal soup and sent it to his lips. She had lived for 2 lifetimes and this was the first time she took care of someone, Yi Fengyu was obviously a little uncomfortable as well. He shyly drank the medicinal soup in his spoon and said, "It's the class assignment test. Class allocation assessment?" Yi Qing Luo searched her memory. The Heavenly Academy, she had some impression of it. The Heavenly Academy was the best school in the Nirvana realm. It was personally selected by the royal family of the 4 continents as the best school. Countless cultivators had racked their brains to enter the Heavenly Academy. This was not only a place to learn and cultivate profound qi, but also a symbol of status. Because those who graduated from the Heavenly Academy would basically have a place in the Nirvana realm. There had never been any cultivator who failed to make a name for himself. The premise of achieving 0 mistakes was that the Heavenly Academy's admission conditions were too strict. To enter the Heavenly Academy, one had to pass the top 10 assessments. From the comprehensive results of strength, intelligence, ability, potential and other major factors to determine whether one could enter the Heavenly Academy. A person only had 3 chances to take the assessment in his lifetime. Yi Fengyu had always been studying in an ordinary school. The Heavenly Academy was the place he yearned for. After getting the peerless immortal pill from Yi Qing Luo, his profound jade heart had been upgraded along with his profound qi. Under Yi Qing Luo's influence from time to time, Yi Fengyu's state of mind had long changed. With this promotion, there was a huge breakthrough in his strength. He took advantage of the excitement and directly applied for the admission assessment of the Heavenly Academy. He received the admission notice yesterday and actually passed the assessment. "It's good that you passed." Yi Qing Luo saw her brother's eyes lit up at the mention of the Heavenly Academy. The anger in her heart had almost dissipated. Ability assessment, don't be too stubborn. Even if you are allocated to the low profound class, it's alright. The Heavenly Academy divided all the students into 4 classes according to their profound grade, potential and other comprehensive data. The low profound class was a class for cultivators with low profound levels and low potential. Intermediate profound class, it was a class for those with average profound levels, average potential, but overall strength, should be above average. The high profound class was a class for cultivators who were outstanding in all aspects. And the last class was the most mysterious class in the Heavenly Academy. It was called the class of gods. It was said that the students in that class were either geniuses or freaks. No one knew how many people were in that class, or who they were. Who was in the class of gods had nothing to do with her. If Yi Fengyu could enter the intermediate profound class, it would already be amazing. Chapter 85. Me to enter the Heavenly Academy? Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes. This proposal could be considered. After all, she was in a different world. Although she had old man Song by her side, most of the time she was self-taught. A little carelessness could easily lead to qi deviation. If there was a professional master to guide her, it would be much better than learning by herself. But her profound jade heart must be tied to Dmo Xian. If she wanted to go to the Heavenly Academy, Dmo Xian had to follow. Otherwise, if she entered the Heavenly Academy, once the profound jade heart left the mother's power supply for more than a month, it would be easy to be suspected by other students. If others knew that her profound jade heart was just a temporary formation, she was afraid that there would be trouble. What's more, if Dmo Xian followed her to the Heavenly Academy, it would set off a storm in the entire Heavenly Academy. Thinking of this, Yi Qing Luo shook her head. "Even if I go to the academy, I can't be in the same class as you. You are a man. If you want to protect me, you have to become stronger first. You can't always think of me by your side. I just don't want the people in the family to look down on you." Yi Fengyu pursed his lips and lowered his head slightly. Yi Qing Luo's heart trembled and suddenly understood something. Entering the Heavenly Academy represented a symbol of status. If she was admitted into the Heavenly Academy, it would also prove her strength. At least in the Yi family, she would have a place for herself. At least, no one would dare to call Yi Qing Luo waste anymore. Otherwise, it would be questioning the Heavenly Academy's vision and questioning the Heavenly Academy's teaching standards. Silly child. The smile in Yi Qing Luo's eyes gradually softened as she raised her hand and touched Yi Fengyu's head. As long as the people you care about look up to you, I don't care about others. She didn't care about those unimportant people's opinion of her. She was not a coin, she couldn't make everyone love her. Of course, she didn't need everyone to love her. Seeing that Yi Qing Luo had no intention to enter the Heavenly Academy, he had to give up. After drinking the medicinal soup, sleepiness hit and he fell into a deep sleep. Yi Qing Luo let Ziling take care of him while she went to another room and prepared to enter the Azure Dew bracelet to study the teleportation technique. Just as she closed the door, Yi Qing Luo's expression suddenly froze. A cold glint flashed across his calm eyes. Immediately after, his body swayed, and in a strange posture, he rolled on the ground and rolled under the table. Yi Qing Luo quickly raised her eyes and saw a pair of purple-patterned boots with unique embroidery outside the table. "Ah, Luo, you run as soon as you see me. Am I that scary?" A chilly voice, like the sound of a clear spring, cleansed his heart. There was even a hint of a smile in that voice. Yi Qing Luo's face darkened instantly. F***ck. It was Dmo Xian. She knew it. How was it possible for someone to appear in her abandoned courtyard without anyone noticing under the range of her senses? Other than the abnormal Dmo Xian who was beyond her imagination, who else could it be? "You come and go like a ghost, can't you at least give me a greeting?" Yi Qing Luo abruptly lifted the table. Her petite body stood ramrod straight as she raised her little face and stared fiercely at him. "Ah, Luo's vigilance is so strong, I haven't had time to greet you." Dmo Xian's face was full of smiles, slightly curved narrow eyes, sparkling with charm. When a normal person entered the house, they would feel a strong aura rushing towards them and would instinctively avoid it. Or, was this the Overlord's unique way of greeting? Chapter 86. Yi Qing Luo's pupils constricted slightly. "You don't have to be so vigilant in front of me." These words were like a stone, splashing a ripple in her heart that was as calm as still water. Since young, she had been designated as the future head of the family. And those sanctimonious elders were thinking of ways to take her life. To survive, she had to make herself strong. If she wanted to survive, she had to be alert every day. Even in her dreams, the slightest sound would wake her up. Even if she had become strong enough and stood in the position of the head of the family, in charge of the entire hidden family, her strong perception had become a habit. No one could make her let down her guard. "As long as I am here, no one will hurt you and there will be no danger." Dmo Xian's smile was so wild and confident. Yes, he was the overlord that everyone respected. No one in the world could match him. Indeed, he had the capital to be wild and confident. It was true that there was no danger by his side. If he wanted to protect her, no one could hurt her. But, Yi Qing Luo raised that pair of bewitching eyes, but the bottom of her eyes was clear. Her cherry-colored lips moved slightly. "No, you will not be by my side forever. I, Yi Qing Luo, do not need anyone's protection. The reason why you are standing in front of me now is because I have something that you need. Not taking it is just because the time is not right. Once the time is right, you will not hesitate to kill me, won't you?" The cold voice stated the truth word by word. Yi Qing Luo wasn't a fool. She wouldn't be so silly to put her trust in a man whom she didn't know at all. Dmo Xian was too powerful, too mysterious. He was not a man she could control. Once the thing he wanted was taken away, once she was of no use to him, Dmo Xian would not hesitate to kill her. The atmosphere was silent for as long as half an incense stick. Dmo Xian was slightly stunned and suddenly burst into a low laugh. His slender fingers pressed against his fair forehead and shook his head. He smiled helplessly and dotingly. "Ah, Luo. You really are a wonderful person." These were indeed his initial thoughts when he first met her. But now, this little girl was very interesting. It would be a pity to kill her. "If there's nothing else, go back to where you came from and don't disturb my cultivation." Yi Qing Luo finished her words and waved her hand as if she was waving a fly. Then, he walked directly towards the bed. Gazing at Yi Qing Luo's back view, Dmo Xian's deep and serene eyes gleamed. After a while, his thin lips curled upwards as his long legs strode towards Yi Qing Luo. Until it stopped beside the bed. Yi Qing Luo had just placed her legs on the bed and had yet to lie down when she saw a figure standing by the bedside. She looked up at him. "Sir, is there anything else?" Dmo Xian shook his head, his jet black hair fluttering in the wind as it cascaded down from his shoulders, further accentuating that peerless face of his, captivating one's soul. A wisp of it landed on Yi Qing Luo's arm. She waved it away, raised her arm and pointed at the door. "Turn left and walk 10 steps ahead. I won't be seeing you out." Just as she finished speaking, her outstretched arm was grabbed by a white hand. With a stretch of his long arm, the woman's soft body was pulled into the man's broad embrace. Chapter 87. Yi Qing Luo's mind was in a mess. Invite my ass. Yi Qing Luo flipped her hand and threw a slap at Dmo Xian's face. Her hand was just raised when it was caught by Dmo Xian. Both her hands were easily held by Dmo Xian just like that. Yi Qing Luo gritted her teeth in anger, but her body was pressed by the man and she could only glare at him fiercely. "Ah, Luo." Dmo Xian's long and narrow eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a bit of demonic luster. He called her name in an exceptionally deep and husky voice. Then, his peerlessly handsome face came into contact with hers. Their foreheads touched, their eyes met, and the tips of their noses touched. His warm breath sprayed on Yi Qing Luo's face. His dark red thin lips were slightly hooked. At such a close distance, there was a fluffy luster, as if tempting to pluck it. Yi Qing Luo inexplicably thought of the kiss with Dmo Xian. That was her first kiss. Her nose was filled with the man's elegant sandalwood scent. Vaguely, she seemed to feel the soft touch of the man's lips. Damn. This evildoer was really an evildoer. This was too brainwashing. Yi Qing Luo couldn't wait to give herself 2 slaps. It's not like she had never seen a handsome guy. Was it necessary to look at Dmo Xian like a love-struck fool? Pft. Love-struck fool my ass. I saw it in your eyes. Dmo Xian's voice was lower and deeper, like mellow wine, intoxicating. Your infatuation for me. Infatuation your sister. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but burst out vulgarities. Damn it. She originally wanted to be a happy lady, but met this evildoer, she was forced to become a shrew. The smile on Dmo Xian's lips gradually deepened. Wind, who was in the dark, saw the situation in the room. His cold and stiff face twitched a few times. He turned around stiffly, no longer looking at his own overlord who had long lost his moral integrity. He sighed helplessly. It's okay. Whatever the overlord does, he has his reasons. As long as the overlord is happy, it's okay. Inside the house. Yi Qing Luo was pinned down for a while before her face turned cold. How long do you want to maintain this position? Dmo Xian raised his brows slightly. If you want, you can maintain it for as long as you want. I don't want it at all. Yi Qing Luo gritted her teeth, word by word, let me go. Dmo Xian chuckled lowly, not letting go. What would happen if a shameless person met an even more shameless person? Answer, there's no solution. Damn it. Overlord, I'm still an unmarried virgin. You snuck into my room, hugged me, and touched me. Do you want to marry me? Yi Qing Luo's charming eyes were filled with a sliver of fury, as she simply smashed the broken jar. She didn't believe that this wouldn't scare him. However, Yi Qing Luo had underestimated Dmo Xian's shamelessness. After hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, the smile on his lips widened. His slender fingers tightened their grip on her jaw. A strand of long black hair fell on her face. If you dare to marry, I dare to marry. His dark eyes squinted slightly, revealing extreme laziness. From his eyes, Yiqing Luo could tell. He was not joking. Dared to marry, he dared to marry? Her heart seemed to be provoked. Yiqing Luo raised her little face, arrogantly squinted at Dmo Xian, and said domineeringly, "If you dare to marry, I dare to marry." Chapter 88. Domineering words and undisguised arrogant expression. Dmo Xian's eyes were filled with interest. These days, he had learned about all the deeds that Yiqing Luo had done from Guardian Feng. These 2 days, he had been observing secretly. He had some understanding of Yiqing Luo's character. Vengeful, ruthless, and decisive. She seemed indifferent and heartless, but when it comes to the people she cared about, she would use her own way to help the other party. Especially that pair of eyes, charming, cold and arrogant, deeply attracted his attention. This woman was different from ordinary women. There was a feeling that was extremely similar to him. A decision was formed in his heart. Come to think of it, in the future, he would not be lonely. I will remember your words. Dmo Xian loosened the restraint on Yiqing Luo and slowly straightened up, his fingers circled around his chest. In the future, I will come back to fulfill the promise between us today. Promise, promise? What nonsense promise? Did he really treat what he said earlier as a verbal agreement between both parties? Hey. Did he misunderstand something? She was about to open her mouth to clarify that what she said earlier was absolutely not a promise. But she saw Dmo Xian sitting by the bed with a serious face. Your brother's suggestion can actually be considered. The topic changed and Yiqing Luo didn't want to repeat the issue of marriage. Otherwise, Dmo Xian would think that she was crazy for marrying. Yiqing Luo also put on a serious expression, raised her eyebrows and asked, "Admitted to the Heavenly Academy?" Dmo Xian actually suggested her to enter the Heavenly Academy? Entering the Heavenly Academy is a good start for you. Dmo Xian nodded slightly. Although his attitude was lazy, but the words that came out of his mouth were worth considering. The reason why the Heavenly Academy is famous in the Nirvana realm is not only because of the school's strict enrollment, but more importantly, their strict teaching. You just started cultivating profound qi, your profound grade is not stable. If there is no master to guide you, you will easily go astray. The Heavenly Academy can help you to stabilize your own foundation. These thoughts were exactly the same as Yiqing Luo's thoughts. Whether it was cultivation or anything else, the foundation was the most important. As long as he had a solid foundation, he would be invincible. Luo, I've settled the matters in the Imperial Palace. I'll accompany you to the Heavenly Academy. Dmo Xian's lips curled into a smile as he leaned back. That pair of long, narrow, and devilishly charming black eyes glowed with rippling light. You want to tag along? Yiqing Luo frowned. Without thinking, she directly rejected, "No, you can't go." Who was Dmo Xian? The legend of the Nirvana realm. If he went to the Heavenly Academy, wouldn't the Academy be in a mess? How could he happily learn the method of cultivating qi? I'll be in the dark. Dmo Xian suddenly leaned forward and his jet black eyes coincidentally met with Mu Rant's line of sight. Won't cause you any trouble. Get straight to the point, what's your motive? Yiqing Luo didn't shift her gaze away as she looked straight into his eyes. Then, she blinked her charming eyes, which were clear and cold. In your eyes, whatever I do, I have ulterior motives? Dmo Xian's eyes darkened as his slender fingers stretched forward. Yiqing Luo thought that he wanted to hook her chin again and quickly retreated. But unexpectedly, the back of her head coincidentally bumped into Dmo Xian's palm. He retracted his long arm and Yiqing Luo's entire body was pressed to the front of her chest by his huge palm. Chapter 89. The strong and powerful heartbeat was extremely rhythmic. The rich masculine scent and elegant sandalwood scent assailed her nostrils. This sandalwood scent, this body temperature, it was really captivating and intoxicating. To be honest, Yiqing Luo was stunned for a moment. This man always flirted with her when she wasn't paying attention. His actions had also activated the coolness and craziness of pulling down the sky. If Dmo Xian claimed to be the second best at flirting, no one would dare to claim to be the best. Ah Luo, just as Dmo Xian called out her name in a husky and magnetic voice. Yiqing Luo suddenly pushed him away and raised her head. Yes, I heard you. Dmo Xian's brows relaxed a little as the corners of his eyes rose slightly. Yiqing Luo continued, I heard you, you do have other motives. She looked at Dmo Xian in silence. After a while, her charming eyes floated a pinch of crushed ice, glinting coldly. I'm not like those ladies in the boudoir, I'm not that stupid. Yiqing Luo stated her own views unhurriedly. The number one person in the Nirvana realm, the legendary overlord, fell in love at first sight with me, a famous waste from Three Springs sect, and wanted to marry me and so on. I have never thought about it. I'm not that arrogant, nor that narcissistic. To make the dignified overlord willing to sacrifice his beauty to lure me into the trap. I guess there must be a reason for the overlord to go to the Heavenly Academy. After Yiqing Luo finished, her charming eyes lifted lazily and glanced at Dmo Xian. Not a word. As if waiting for Dmo Xian's answer. However, Dmo Xian did not speak. His lips hooked into a smile. That smile did not reach the bottom of his eyes. It was so cold that it sent chills down one's spine and made one tremble. Inexplicably, Yiqing Luo felt flustered. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but when the words came to her mouth, they were shocked by that pair of black eyes and she could not spit out a word. That pair of eyes had no emotions. However, everyone could clearly feel the chill that came from his bones. With a flick of his sleeve, the man let go of her head and turned towards the door. Dmo. Her voice had yet to leave her throat. The purple figure had only taken a few steps before disappearing into the air. Not a trace of him could be seen. Yiqing Luo slid down the bed and searched around the house a few times. She specially used her perception to carefully sense the entire range of the abandoned courtyard. There was no sign of Dmo Xian. He left. Just like when he came, he was ethereal and silent. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips tightly and returned to the bedside resentfully as she leaned against the headboard weakly and sat down. She knew that Dmo Xian was furious. And he was very, very angry. Her doubts and distrust had agitated Dmo Xian. She did not know where Dmo Xian had gone to this time. Would he appear again? If Dmo Xian did not appear on his own accord, even if she searched the entire Nirvana realm, she might not be able to find Dmo Xian. The only thing he could do was to wait for him to calm down before he took the initiative to appear. But Yiqing Luo didn't regret her decision. She had never put her back in someone else's hands. She had never been forced to hand over the person behind her. The relationship between Dmo Xian and her was at most that of the profound heart Jade's mother and individual. Other than that, they could only be considered as strangers. She did not believe Dmo Xian and doubted him, which was a normal thing. She was not targeting Dmo Xian, but she would not trust anyone. Forget it, Dmo Xian had left, so be it. She flipped her hand and a small kitten the size of 2 palms suddenly appeared in her palm. With a leap, it pounced into Yiqing Luo's arms. Chapter 90. On the third day after Dmo Xian left, Yiqing Luo brought Chi out of the azure dew bracelet. The room was silent. Yiqing Luo got off the bed and subconsciously looked at the place where Dmo Xian stood. It was empty, no one was there. There wasn't his unique sandalwood scent in the air. He hadn't come back for the past few days. Perhaps it was because Dmo Xian was angered by her. Yiqing Luo felt an inexplicable sense of guilt. What kind of weird feeling was this? This was the first time she had such a feeling. Could it be that, what she said that day was too much. It seemed, it was indeed too much. Yiqing Luo started self-reflection. After all, the other party was the noble overlord. He was willing to lower himself to be by your side. You should be satisfied. Why bother asking the other party's purpose? Maybe the overlord was just bored and didn't have a purpose at all. After self-reflection, Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. She suddenly remembered that Dmo Xian had arranged a spy by her side. That black-robed youngster called Wind. Why not ask him? If Wind was there, it meant that Dmo Xian was just sulking and would come back after his anger subsided. If Wind wasn't there, that meant Dmo Xian planned to never appear in front of her again. If Dmo Xian didn't appear, it meant that the temporary profound jade heart in her body could only last for another month. Yiqing Luo exhaled a mouthful of impure air and placed her palm on her chest, feeling the profound qi lingering around the profound jade heart. She really hated the feeling of putting her fate on someone else's hands. She must find her profound jade heart as soon as possible. Otherwise, she could only rely on other people's strength to live. She didn't realize that she, who had always been indifferent to anything and any strangers, would actually waste time to ponder over a man's heart. Yiqing Luo cleared her throat and called out in a probing manner, "Wind?" Her line of sight surveyed the surroundings. There was no sound. Yiqing Luo spread out her perception and once again probed for an unfamiliar presence. "Wind, there's something about Dmo Xian that I want to talk to you about." She had just spat out the 3 words, Dmo Xian, when a whirlwind suddenly blew in the room. The wind stopped. A young man dressed in black stood at the door. His face was cold and emotionless. "What is it?" Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes. Sure enough, Dmo Xian's follower was still around. As expected of one of Lord Di Zun's subordinates. His ability to conceal his aura was truly impressive. She couldn't sense Ah Feng's aura at all. Even though Ah Feng was standing right in front of her. Wind. Should be Dmo Xian's secret guard. I'm fine now. Yiqing Luo collected her thoughts, smiled and shook her head. Since it was confirmed that Wind was still monitoring her in the dark, that proved that Dmo Xian would appear again. It looked like there was something on her that attracted Dmo Xian and he was determined to get it. Wind frowned as his face was filled with disgust. "Yiqing Luo, don't go too far. If the Overlord wants to kill you, it's just a matter of moving his fingers. Do you really think His Majesty wants something from you?" Yiqing Luo was slightly stunned. Just as she was about to reply, Wind turned into a whirlwind and disappeared in front of Yiqing Luo. As though he didn't want to be alone with Yiqing Luo for even a second. Yiqing Luo didn't care about Wind's departure. His heart was rippling with ripples. That's right. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.